I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story because this is how much this guy means to me. So I was telling the story to one of his associates the other day, which was when I was 25 years old, I was in this office as a PC coach basically before I was a team leader, and ROP came down and she went into the ALC room and she said, all right guys, we're gonna start our search for the next team leader. And John Pace, among other people, were the ones that said, you know what, I think your team leader is sitting right outside this door here. So I'm grateful to be in this company. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and it actually kind of started with this guy right here.
That was fun.
Hey guys, hope everyone's having a great day. Kyle Holloran here with the Alliance Group, and today I'm joined by John Pace of the Pace of Richmond.
Hey Kyle.
We're down here in the River City, Richmond, Virginia. So hey John.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me with you.
John is actually one of my oldest friends, I would say, in real estate. I'm gonna tell you guys a quick story because this is how much this guy means to me. So I was telling the story to one of his associates the other day, which was when I was 25 years old, I was in this office as a PC coach basically before I was a team leader, and ROP came down and she went into the ALC room and she said, all right guys, we're gonna start our search for the next team leader. And John Pace, among other people, were the ones that said, you know what, I think your team leader is sitting right outside this door here. So I'm grateful to be in this company. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had, and it actually kind of started with this guy right here.
That was fun.
I want you guys to hear John's story today. I think John runs one of the best teams that we have in the Alliance Group, not only just in production and volume and GCI and all those things, but I'm always impressed about the way that you think about your people.
Thank you.
And why that is important to the success of your company.
Got it.
Right? So let's just go back a little bit. How did you get into real estate? Like, what was your entry point into the business?
Real estate, I got into real estate by buying duplexes.
Okay.
And the reason I bought duplexes, I was a W-2 for a big bank, regional bank. And I realized I wasn't making that much money. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I was living in a duplex. And I was like, well, if I own one of these, I could have someone pay at least half the mortgage. Why wouldn't I buy one? And so I bought one, finally, at age 31. I was a little behind the ball and getting started. But so I did that. I bought one, and it's kind of like tattoos, I suppose. You get one, it's addictive, you want to buy the next one. So I bought two. And as I was getting my tenants lined up and everything, I was like, I'm miserable in this IT job where I sit in a cubicle 8 hours a day and don't talk to anybody. And here I am helping people get into my duplex, which is nothing crazy,
Right.
And that just started it. And I was dating my wife at the time, and I mentioned to her that I was thinking about doing this, and she's got, you got 6 months to figure it out, and I'll bankroll us for 6 months.
Cool.
And as everyone says, you sell that one house in that first month, then nothing for the next 5. and then not, but you could feel it building. She's like, you're going back to your old job. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going back. And you could feel that the tide was lifting.
Yep.
And I was like, it's going to happen. And sure enough, month 7 is one sale, and then one sale, and then one, and then two, and then two, and went from 6 in that first few months, and then it was 27 homes a year.
Nice.
And it took off from that point. And I was like, okay, this is something here.
Did you live in that first house? So like when you, did you live in one side and then you rented out the other side?
Yeah,
that's where it kind of
lived in one unit, and then less than a year later bought the second one.
Gotcha.
And then wanted to buy the third one, but we got married and she wanted the house to raise the family. So I wish we had bought the third one.
Ready to pay for, house to pay for.
Yeah,
Are these all in Richmond? Or
They're all Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Are you from Richmond?
No.
Okay, where are you from?
Arlington.
Arlington, Virginia.
Yeah.
How'd you make it down to Richmond? Job?
University of Richmond.
Okay.
U of R.
Right, so you're a Spider.
Spider. Went to college there, swam there, scholarship.
And then you stayed.
And no, then I left for Texas for 4 years. Went to TCU for grad school, paid for grad school by being their assistant D1 coach for men's and women's swimming.
Okay.
My favorite job I've ever had in my entire life. That was a blast.
So you might have the strangest mascots of anybody.
Yeah, I went from the spiders to the horned frogs.
To the horned frogs,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good.
So did that, stayed in a few years, did heart and lung rehab at a hospital for a couple of years. I have a master's in exercise physiology. Like most people who get masters, you never use it at the anymore. And then got back here, got back into coaching for a few years, and then Y2K, so I got into IT.
Okay.
And I'm good at it, but it made me very unhappy.
Right.
7 very lonely years. And then the real estate thing with the duplexes showed up, and that kind of opened the door to real estate.
Very cool.
Yeah.
When did it become full-time? Was it during that process where your wife was saying, we got to go?
It was I did 6 months part-time. I was smart enough to negotiate with my old boss that I had cornered myself into 3 applications that I only knew. And so I said, keep me on and pay me half my salary for 8 hours a week.
Gotcha.
And they agreed. So I worked Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, and I had the rest of the week to do real estate.
You guys were just looking at properties, looking for clients, starting the lead gen process, growing a database.
It was all lead gen. It was just all lead gen.
Yep.
And that's back when I had just used a spreadsheet.
How many years ago? You said Y2K, right?
2005.
Yeah. Okay. So almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 18 and a half.
What do you remember about those first couple of years in real estate? Like, what are some of the things that you look back on and you go, either that went really well or I learned a lot and that made me a lot better?
What I did well was, at the time of my life, I was extremely social. So I would just got in front of every single person I could find.
Yep.
I was doing triathlons at the time, Ironmans and those kind of things. And being a college swim coach and a college swimmer, I negotiated with the local tri club, which has 900 members back in the time, and said, hey, how about you give me your database and I'll coach for you once a month. And I just volunteered as much as I possibly could.
Cool.
Gave back. And my business started showing up from there. So it was just, how can I get in front of people? How can I give back where they feel not obliged, but they feel like, okay, this person's actually doing something because he cares about us, not because he's trying to get paid.
Right.
And so just started doing that and just hit it hard. My personality is the type that wants to do things the right way. And so I think showing up and making sure everyone was taken care of. 27 transactions was all I could do.
Right.
When I know a lot of realtors can do 36, 40, 45. That's all they can do.
Yep.
And for me, just slowing down and making sure they were taken care of was huge. So my referral rate was through the roof.
And it's interesting. One of the 6 personal perspectives of KW, which I know you know, is that E to P concept, right?
Yeah.
And we always talk about, like, where is that ceiling? And it's different for everybody, right? Some agents might want to do 12 or some might do 30, to your point. So 27 was your ceiling where you kind of
hit
that number 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
All right. Were you getting frustrated during that process, or was it you were happy with it?
Well, it's funny. The third year of 27, I was on track to hit 36.
Okay.
And then 2008 or 2000, whatever year it was, happened and the market shut down. I didn't sell a house for 3 months. So I literally did 27 in the first 9 months.
Right. And then you were like, we're on pace, no pun intended.
All day long.
And then all of a sudden things just slowed down, stopped, basically.
Done.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
And went from 27 to 18.
What'd you learn in that process? Like, was there anything you changed in your business from going through that?
Yeah, I switched brokerages. That's when I came over to KW.
Yeah.
Because the brokerage I was at was like, oh, you want to hire? Just go talk to people and hire somebody. That was literally the training program on how to hire.
Right.
Was just go hire somebody.
Yeah, go look for a friend.
So I literally talked to one person and hired her on the spot. She was nice. She seemed sweet. I think she would be, and she was sweet, but wasn't the right person for the job.
Yeah.
And then I realized I didn't have any backing, any support. When things were falling apart in the market, the leadership was all about the brokerage.
Right.
It was not about the agent.
Got it.
At all.
Yeah.
And I had been courted by KW at that point, probably 18 months. And so I don't make quick decisions. And so another 6 months of talking, and I was like, hey, this is the right thing to do.
Interesting.
In fact, going to family reunion kind of solidified it.
Yep. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Same thing for me.
Yeah.
I joined KW, but I remember going to my first family reunion in Orlando, and I kind of like walked in the room, and I was like, all right, this is the environment that I want to be in.
Yes.
Right.
People are sharing, collaborating, letting you know what they're doing. I mean, you're selling 200 homes a year. You're going to tell me how to do it?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
No one does that at other brokerage.
And not only tell you, but like open up the book and show you like systems, processes, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Here's my playbook.
Were you still a solo agent at that point?
Yeah, I had to let that person go. I was back to being solo. I had a TC helping me with stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I was solo, so switched over, and then made another hire. Made a few successive hires of replacing.
Right.
Just didn't get it quite right yet.
Yeah.
So I still had a lot to learn on how to hire people.
Sure.
And so that took a few more years to actually get that figured out.
I'll say sometimes like the first hire is like your chaos manager, right? Like you're kind of just being entrepreneurial, doing your thing, and someone's got to come and try to pull all that together.
And one of the, looking back on like where mistakes on the hiring was, I didn't know what a talented person in that role looked like. I knew what talent looked like in my role. So when I'm looking for somebody in real estate to help run things, I didn't know what to tell them to do.
Right.
And so it was until I figured out, okay, I need to find someone who actually can say, John, get out of my way. Let me do these things for you. So you're doing just your 20%.
Right.
Then it clicked. But I didn't know that.
Right.
And no one taught that to me. So, it was a learning experience. It was an expensive learning experience, but a needed one for sure.
What was, Richmond's obviously, you feel like it's grown a lot in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
What have you seen kind of growth-wise in Richmond, and then how far out were you going, right? I always find that people are always asking, like, people Petersburg, Williamsburg, like it's a big territory.
Yeah.
What do you guys cover? Like, what is your main area that you guys focus on for your sales?
So currently we're about 45-ish minutes from the center of the city.
Okay.
But the more of a writing is we're 85% referral based.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 136 closings, 85% came from people we know.
That's wild. Let me say it again. 136 transactions, 85% of them came from referrals.
Yes.
That's the type of business I think most people want to run.
And it's my favorite. And if I like you, I'll help you.
Right.
So yes, we've helped people an hour and a half away because it was the right thing to do.
Right.
And other times we'll refer them to somebody else.
Right.
But yeah, someone said, I get asked all the time, what part of Richmond do you work? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
We work Richmond.
The whole thing, right?
We do the whole damn thing.
Yep.
There might be some parts that some other people on my team are better at than I am, and I might share that opportunity with them.
Sure.
But yeah, we're all over. We're all over Richmond.
And you still buy investment properties? Is that still something that you're doing
Getting
right now?
back into it, we're
Yeah.
doing syndications now. We actually have an investor on our team who's doing syndications, so we're helping him find the right people who do that. We did 2 of those last year. I sold one of my investments, bought a different one last year.
Yep.
So doing that. The bigger thing, all I am really focused on is building this team and making an amazing platform for agents to be successful and for administrative staff to have a great life and career.
So what happened in your world where you just said, I'm going to commit to this? Because I find that a lot of people want to hire, they want leverage,
Yeah.
they want more time in their world, but they're not really committed to actually making that happen.
Great question.
And I think it seems easier on the outside as you've gone through multiple hires that maybe didn't work out in your world, right? It's not easy, and yet, at least from my perspective, you're getting really, really close to exactly what a lot of people want to get to,
Yeah.
right? So talk to me about when you realized not only that you needed to hire people, but also go find like the right people to get you and your family where you wanted to be.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I ended up going down to Austin for ESO, expansion.
Okay.
Because that was the big buzzword back in 2014, 2015. And I was like, okay, I want to learn more. And Kristen Cole was teaching it. She was the authority, and she still is. And went there, and I left after 2 days of ESO going, this is not an expansion class. This is a build your hub class.
Yep.
This is how do you build your administrative team so that you can attract the talent. When you have the talent, you can support the talent.
Yep.
Because without a hub that really runs efficiently and effectively, I don't care who you hire, where they are, they're going to fall apart because they don't have the systems.
Interesting.
To that person, wherever they are, having that playbook, that system, the whole back end put together is what they usually can't build themselves.
Right.
And so if you don't have that, you're useless to them.
Sure.
So I walked away from that going, I've got to build something.
Right.
And so that literally started a 8-year tear on finding talent to make this such an attractive platform.
So the hub, the admin team is what you said, I need to get right first. You know, once I get that right, I can then start attracting great agents to it because that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, as Gary said at Family Reunion, your database, your business is your database, powered by your systems, which is powered by the people who build your system.
Right.
That's your business.
Sure.
You can replace agents all day long.
Yep.
You can't replace your hub.
Yep. What was the biggest learning experience you had as building that hub? Like, what were one of the things you look back on and go, that was really key in that hub admin aspect to really work the way we wanted to?
Trying to figure which way I want to go in the answer here. Number one is being willing to top grade talent quickly.
Okay.
A lot of times I would hire for where I was, not where I was going.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's a little scary to say, Kyle, I know you're an amazing what you do, and I will be here in 5 years,
Right.
but I'm not there yet.
Right.
You want to grow with me or not? And that was a hard thing for me to learn to say, and it still is to today.
Yep.
But finding someone who wants to go and wants to push and will push you, because real good talent's going to push you.
What were the reactions of those people when you actually had the courage to say that to them?
Let's go.
They were excited?
Very
was it
much.
a different reaction than you anticipated before you would say it to them out loud?
Yeah. In fact, Jessica, our most recent hire of that talent level, had another opportunity somewhere else, and she's like, I see an opportunity. The other job I can see me doing.
Right.
This one I can see me growing.
Interesting.
And so we walked in the door, and she's blown us up because she just walked in and did everything we couldn't do for ourselves.
Right.
And I'm showing her now, okay, we can start building these businesses to help you get the wealth you've never dreamed of before. And we can do it together, which is a lot of fun.
What have you found that is the things that real talent is looking for in the organization that they're joining? So like you said, you have future opportunities,
Yeah.
growth opportunities, right? Like anything that you can kind of think of that those people all kind of have in common?
It's the opportunity piece. It is opportunity, and it's going to show up differently. But one is a lot of times they get sidetracked at their job.
Right.
Their boss will give them an opportunity, and then 2 years later take it away. They will
Overpromise, underdeliver.
it's lip service.
Yep.
They just really wanted a full-time employee, making their life a lot better.
Sure.
And so someone who actually says, I want you to be successful. I want you making $500,000 a year. I want you kicking me out of my job. I want you pushing me out of the way. I'm looking for those kind of people who want that. Because without that, then it's always falling on my shoulders. It will always be about John Pace.
Yep.
And that's a disservice to everybody. It really is. You don't want me doing all that stuff. You want me doing what I'm really good at and getting out of the way of everything else.
Right. It's weird to think about, right? It's hard for people to say, like, I'm looking for someone that replaces me.
Yeah.
What does that do for you and your family? Like, if you could replace yourself and everything is happening the way you want it to, what excites you about that?
If I had to, I could stop working today.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
So for me, it's, as you and I talked before, it's a stability piece for me. I know my family's taken care of if I'm on this earth tomorrow or not. Mm-hmm. So that's huge for me. But I also know my work family is taken care of because they have a place to show tomorrow if I'm on this earth tomorrow or not.
Right.
So just that stability for me is huge. But I also know I've just got people who are really good at what they do that makes me look good or makes my agents look good all the time.
Yep.
And you walk around with your head high because you have an amazing company that people respect and want to come to.
Especially when you're doing that many referrals.
Yeah.
A lot of people refer business to you because they really like John and they know the way that John handles his business. And so as you start to scale a company like that and those referrals come in, I mean, it's tough sometimes to like hand people off to somebody else. And so I'm assuming for you, it was not only finding talented people that you could trust, but that also the clients could depend on to do the same job or maybe even a better job than John Pace did.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when I refer a client to someone on the team and I check in after the closing, how did it go?
Yep.
And like, that person was amazing. I'm like, yeah, I told you they'd be great for you.
Good.
They're better at it than I am, and it's good. As they say, they don't pick you because of you. They pick you because of your standards and what you represent.
Right.
So as long as I got people who align with what I do and do it the way I do it, and we do it better together, then we're good.
So what do you do when you think about hiring talent?
Yeah.
And you're in a moment, maybe a spring market, right? And you're overwhelmed and busy. Like, how do you zoom out a little bit to really decide on what is the next domino? Who is the next hire in our world that we need to go to? How do you approach that?
I will tell you, well, having Seth and Jessica by my side talking about it with me helps me see it differently, which is good. But number two is that we joined the KW talent community, which was a game changer in how we see our business. Yep. We walked in to that. We went on site back in Austin to meet with them. And we had an idea where we were going, and we walked out and the org model doubled. Our 5-year vision of the team doubled. We literally have 25 openings on the team in the next 5 years.
Wow.
How we get there, I had no clue,
Sure. Yeah.
but we can see it.
Right.
So just being able to talk to people, partner with people who see the world bigger than you could and say, here's the gaps, and what if you did this, this, and this? And you look back and go, that's a business.
Right.
And that's a business that's going to attract a lot of people, and the people who are with us now can actually see a path forward within us versus outside of us.
For sure.
So that was huge, just going to KW talent. Nothing.
It probably excites you too, because I think the industry in general is changing, right? Like not massively, I would say, right? Probably more headlines than anything else, it seems like. But you know, the industry just, from where it was in 2005, right, to where you see it today and where it's going, it's probably really nice to feel like you got people around you to give you other perspectives, right, and kind of help you push into whatever the next, 10, 15 years of real estate look like.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, really nothing to add to that. You said it exactly right. That's literally what we have right now.
So Seth you mentioned 2 people, so I just want to make sure so people are watching. So what does Seth do on your team, and why is he so important to you?
Okay, so Seth has his own team on our team.
Okay.
And he's also our director of sales.
Okay.
So he leads and trains and coaches all of our agents on our team.
Right.
Jessica is our director of operations, and she leads, hires, and trains all the administrative talent.
Okay.
So those are basically my 2 executives with me to help us make the right decisions for the team.
So maybe people that are watching heard that for the first time, which is Seth has a team under the team.
I like to say alongside the team.
Alongside.
Yeah.
And I know that you have a few other agents, right, that have been brought into your world.
Catherine does the same thing.
Yep. So explain that. Why was that the pathway that made sense to you?
Yeah, so this is my second real estate team.
Yep.
We talked about that before. My first one I disbanded. Part of it I built right, part of it I built horribly wrong with the wrong people. And my lead agent decided to get married to a Navy pilot and got transferred halfway across the world.
Yep.
So if I'm going to lose her, I'm going to start this whole thing over again.
Right.
So I started from scratch and rebuilt it. And as I was rebuilding it, at the time, this agent, she did all the buyers and I did all the sellers. But my thought was, she has her database, I have mine. Why would her people want to work with me?
Right.
They love her. And why want people to work with me? So the idea was, I'm going to let my people work with their people. They can work with them on buying, they can work with them on selling, and I'm going to help support their business with overflow that I can't handle at the end of the day.
Yep.
And so that kind of started the stage of, I want people to have their own businesses alongside mine. I want their brand to be part of my brand.
Yep.
And let's grow it together. Because like I said before, most agents are really good about being agents.
Right.
They're not the best business builders or business owners.
Right.
So if I can create that platform for them to be the most successful they can be in their role,
right.
everything else gets easier for both of us.
I was in a meeting down in San Antonio in September, and I remember someone in the room saying, in the industry in general, we've convinced a lot of great salespeople that they're business people.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the biggest handicap for them, is they think they have to do it all. They think that they've got to go implement and hire and do all those things. So what I'm hearing you say is, maybe you realize that, right? And you said, how do I create a hub of great admin services that some of these people can plug into, and we can kind of join forces and everyone gets what they want out of it?
Correct. And if you look at the model of how they get your cost of sales and your expenses and the whole MRE model of that thing, an agent on the team makes about the same amount of money doing it that way. Their cost of sale is much higher, their expenses are much, much lower, and their profit is about the same. In fact, their profit is slightly higher being on a team than being solo. And they have none of that headache to deal with all that stuff. And so they can grow a lot faster. Their business can eventually grow.
And you're attracting people to that model right now? There's agents that are interested in that?
Correct. And one big thing we're clear about is this growth of this business is not an ego play for John. I want them to understand I want them building their business, and we're going to support it. Yes, there is the parent brand that they're part of, but everything that goes to their database comes from them, not from me. Their picture is at the top of the newsletter, not mine. Mine's at the very bottom. My picture's not even on the damn thing. So how can I put them in their best light to their database, make them look the best they possibly can, get them the best platform, and let them go? And we do it together.
What are some of the areas of friction that you found in that model? Are there anything that you would kind of guide people on that might be watching that are interested in that, or are there main things that stick out?
I say for an established agent who joins a team, it's letting go what they already had. And there's a little bit of ego in there on both of us because they're used to being the top dog on everything. And they're still top dog to their database, but they're not running the show anymore. So that might be a little friction point, and it's not for everybody, but if they realize that where their strength is actually in their sales and their people, letting go of the stuff that's not serving you is actually a freedom piece where your life gets really good because you're not stressing about the stuff that you were never really that good at in the first place or don't enjoy in the first place.
So you're doing some sort of needs analysis, making sure you understand what are their pain points, and then obviously just communication. Well, communicating at a very high level with those individuals to make sure we understand who is in charge of what part of this so that everyone can get to where they want to go.
We interview people 6 to 8 times.
Wow.
So and if I'm actually asking someone like Catherine to disband her company and bring it alongside ours, I think we talked 10, 12 times. And I wanted to make sure that she realized this is the best decision for her, and she needed to realize it, not me telling her. And I wanted to make sure we were the best platform for her. And it took a lot of conversations, and some were 30 minutes and some were 3 hours.
Gotcha.
At the end of the day, I don't want her to put her lifestyle and her family at risk because she made a quick decision on doing something. So slow to hire is really, really important in these conversations.
Yeah, it's kind of like when we tell buyers and sellers is like in a weak moment, once you make a weak decision. Right? So what you're saying is that you're going to vet those relationships and make sure that these people aren't just in maybe not a weak moment is not the right terminology, but whatever's going on in their world, maybe they need some leverage, maybe they need some help. And that quick decision can actually be a down thing, potentially, if we didn't really think that through.
It can be. And for some people, joining a team is a really bad decision. It's just not the right thing for them. They want it to be about them and grow them, and that's totally fine, but they have to find a way to build it.
So I want to go back to the referral side. Because I'm sure some people are sitting there and they heard you say that many deals came out of referral. How does that happen?
That's a great question. So I've always been a phone call person, even though phones scared me. So when I got into real estate, it was all face-to-face, as mentioned earlier. I just did all the sponsorship stuff for the Tri Club, and I did all the races and all the events, and I found ways to get everyone to give me their phone numbers and emails. I raffle stuff off. And then it turned into a point where I was like, I need to go find more people outside of this group. And I hired a real estate coach, and he's like, John, I want you to call one person a day, and it scared the crap out of me. And I couldn't do it. And then eventually I got over the hump of calling. Next thing you know, it was 2 people a day. And I was like, okay, I'll do 3 people a day. And just the fear of, it's like a first listing appointment, the first call you make, it's always the fear. I don't want to be bothering them. I don't want to come across as a used car salesman. And eventually it just turned into a habit where I got to the point I was making 45 calls a day. And it just got comfortable because I was just calling to say, hey, Kyle, how's you and your family? What's going on? What do you need from me that's going to help you this year? Is there anything real estate related? Do you need contractors? Do you need handymen? How can I be of help? And I was just a resource. My job is to be the straw that stirs their drink. And so I just got really good about being consistent. I wasn't the best caller. I wasn't the best person on the phones, but I probably was the most consistent in the office. And then that morphed into creating client events because my personality, I don't want to be going to everyone's house and knocking on the door and bothering them. I want them to come to me.
Right.
So I want you to have a big event and have everyone show up. And my first event, I had 6 people show up. I invited 300 and I got 6. It felt it was hard.
A little defeating.
Yeah, a little defeating.
Yep.
One of those 6 is my best investor. The number one of those 6 is actually on our team now as a salesperson.
Yeah, your wife showed up.
Yeah, no. and now our client events drive between 300 to 400 people at every event.
Yep.
And so we do now 5 events a year, and that literally drives all of our lead generation for the entire year. So it's all about giving back. We invite people to come out to a really fun event, whatever event it is at the time, and we say thank you, and thanks for being here, and who do you know we could help? And that's literally it.
I love that. I think a lot of agents think they just got to sell, right? Like we're selling all the time.
Yeah.
And what I heard you say, that even in the phone calls, you're just reaching out.
Yeah.
You're just having a conversation. You're just providing value. If someone needs something and they're going to step into that conversation, great. And if not, at a minimum, there was a touch there, and when they're ready for something, hopefully you're top of mind because of that call.
Yeah, the call's not about me.
Right.
And even to the point, I find ways to ask business, but not for me. So for example, like right now, the inventory is so tight.
Right.
We're looking for listings. We have so many buyers who can't find the right house. So I call everyone right now and say, listen, we've got lots of buyers who can't find the right place. It would mean a lot to them if you knew somebody who's thinking of selling that we could introduce them to. Do you know anyone I should be talking to?
Oh, my neighbor just said yesterday at the...
Great, how do I talk to them? So it's not me asking, it's our buyers asking the question.
Right.
So at the end of the day, our job is to make people feel special and taken care of, and we get rewarded by them sending us referrals.
Seems like you guys have like a playbook on your events at this point.
Oh yeah,
right?
Jessica built all of that.
They're also fun.
They're great.
I think one of the things I enjoy about them is they're at places or I know you've had some of the breweries and things like that. Like they're at places that people would want to go hang out anyway.
Yes.
Right. So they're not feeling forced to like show up to an event where it's just this and this is the only thing, and they feel like I'm going to get put in a situation. Like I feel as though the events you guys throw, they feel welcome.
Yeah.
They feel like they can actually come with their families and they can enjoy themselves, and it's not going to be a timeshare pitch.
It's low key. It's like a cookout,
right?
Family cookout.
Yep.
We call it friends and family.
Yep.
I will also tell you, for agents that join the team, it is a huge. It makes them look amazing in their database's eye.
Right.
Because we have a new agent show up and they have 200 people they know and they invite everybody. Maybe they have 25 people that show up.
Right.
But they walk into an event of 400 people.
Right.
It looks like Josh or Nick or Amber has a big business.
Right.
And it gives validity to what they do as well.
Yep.
So literally our new agents walk in the door and they've already got 5 client events planned for the year.
Right. Yeah.
It took me 10 years to get to that point. No, I'm taking it back. It took me 15 years to get to that point at the end of the day. So it wins for everybody. It helps the agents, it helps the clients, it helps all of us.
And not only events, I know I'm part of your database, right, from our relationship in the past. So I think you guys do great mailers, right?
Yeah.
Like the things you send out. I know, I don't think I'm giving away any secret sauce here, but your calendars are amazing.
Yeah.
Right? You send out those hand-painted Richmond calendars every year.
Yeah.
And not only that, like you guys literally put stickers on the top of every single month, right? So like you turn it from July to August, like there's the pace of real estate.
Yeah. We have our calendar already mapped out for the year.
Good. I have all of them in a box.
Yeah.
Like I literally love those photos. I think they can be framed anyway, and so that's amazing. I think it was just yesterday, the day before, right? Like I got the one in the mail for St. Patrick's Day with the scratch-off ticket. So it seems like you guys really decided to put your time and effort into the people who already trust you to build relationships with those that are maybe close to them.
Well, it's one of the most enjoyable transactions because you already have a level relationship.
Yep.
Number 2, it's the lowest cost transaction you'll ever do. You're not paying for leads that may or may not do anything. And 3, it's easy. I'd rather work with people I already know than trying to build a brand new relationship.
Right.
It's more fun for me that way.
Yeah.
So anything I can do to make things simpler, easier, and less costly, it's going to be better for everybody.
So what's the size of your team now?
We have 15 people on the team, including 2 part-time runners.
Okay.
So we have 9 agents, 4 full-time admin, and 2 part-time runners.
Okay.
Last year, we sold 136 basically with 4 producing agents.
Got it.
So we were averaging 36, 38 homes per agent last year.
And you're saying like, as you look at the model, it starts to feel like it's getting a little bit bigger, right?
Yes.
Ancillary businesses may pop up, whatever it's going to be, and so 15 is not static. Like that's something that you would look to scale in the future if the right opportunities were there.
If the right people, when the right people show
people
up,
are there.
I want the right people.
Yeah.
I don't want to destroy the culture we have just to bring bodies on board.
Yep.
So we want people who are relational. We want people who are going to talk to their people.
Yep.
We want people who want to grow like we want to grow. And we want people who want opportunity.
So it was interesting you said don't want to ruin the culture. How do you introduce a potential hire if you think you found a great person?
Yes.
how do you make sure that everybody else agrees with you?
So one of our interviews as part of the KW process is we actually do a team interview where we bring everybody in and that person gets to interview the team. So the interview gets flipped where the interviewee is now interviewing the team.
Right.
And they get to know, hey, I've been talking to John for the past 6, 7 times. Tell me about him. Tell me about his leadership style. Does he really, what he's saying is what he does.
Yep.
What do you love being on the team? What do you not like being on the team? We want eyes wide open when people show up.
Sure, sure.
So it allows that person to see what's going on. It allows the team to give us feedback. They don't have necessarily thumbs up, thumbs down voting privileges.
Right.
But what I really do is I want their perspective.
Right.
I want their red flags. I want them to say, hey, have you thought about this with this person? Did you ask these questions? And it allows me to slow down and go back and say, actually, I think you're right. We might have missed something here.
Right.
Let's go back and talk about this and make sure it's the right person.
Yep. I think certain personalities, I know I am this way. Sometimes you have blinders on,
Yeah.
and you get stuck on something, and you're really focused on it, and you can put a lot of energy behind that. And so, it's good to have.
You
other
want
people.
the win so badly. You want the hire so badly. You're in so much pain trying to deal with the process
Yep.
that you just want the pain to go away.
Right.
Yeah, and that person's your salvation, and ends up being your problem.
Right.
If you bring the wrong person on.
Yeah. Tell me about Pace of Real Estate. Why should people, if they have referrals, right? Agents that are watching that are from Northern Virginia. We have agents in the Northern Neck right now.
Yeah.
What is unique about your team, and why would people be looking to you?
We handhold everything. Jessica has built amazing systems in the back end, so the client's taken care of and the referring person's taken care of.
Yep.
And with 9 agents on the team, I've got 9 different personalities that might be a really great fit for that referring client.
Right.
So that's one of the questions I ask. Like, what's your person like? Who do they work well with? Because I want to make sure I'm pairing up those people appropriately at that point.
Nice.
And now that we're not only in Richmond, we're now in Northern Virginia.
Yep.
We have Anthony up there in the rest of market, Northern Virginia. So we can start helping people up and down 95 now, which is a lot of fun.
It's been interesting to watch. I live down here in Richmond. I went to college down here as well.
Yeah.
And it's been really interesting and fascinating to be driving up and down 95 because I grew up in Maryland, right? So even coming to college, I was always driving up and down 95.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to watch those HOV lanes. Are basically, right, they're going to connect here at some point in the next couple of years.
One year, it will, one way or the other. Yeah,
and a lot of that dead area between Northern Virginia and Richmond that felt dead for a long time, it seems like those are some of the fastest growing areas.
There's
like,
nowhere else to go.
state.
There's no infill left. I mean, Northern Virginia, there's no infill left. I mean, you got to go somewhere. So, and I think people would rather go south than go west.
Right.
And east, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And there's really nowhere between you and Baltimore. There's nowhere to go.
Yep.
So it's coming this way,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not.
I just think you see a lot of people jump on the train going up to DC, right? So we have a lot of people that moved down here to Richmond. I know several people who still work in DC or work in Northern Virginia and actually decided to come to Richmond because of cost of living purposes,
huge.
right? And just, it's a beautiful city. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of great things going on here.
It's great. It's easy. It's also, being from Northern Virginia, I get this. The traffic is infinitesimally better down here.
Right.
So just the quality of life is great.
Yep.
Yeah, housing's much better.
Right.
We got the river right downtown. We got restaurants, breweries. It's easy to get to. We're 2 hours from everything.
It's funny when people ask me about where I live and things like that. I always go to default to Richmond because it's just great restaurants. Same thing. I remember the river. We just go down there and hang out, right? Kick our shoes off and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. I really like the people down here too.
Yeah, I agree.
Just saw you had your 15th anniversary with KW.
I guess so. Yeah, this will be May is my 19th year.
Yep.
So yeah, it sounds about right.
We live in a world these days where it seems like agents are constantly changing brokerages and kind of moving around a little bit and always looking for the secret sauce or the magic pill or whatever it's going to be. 15 years is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Why? What's kept you at KW? What are the things that you see as the value proposition of KW?
It's an agent-centric business. They're very much focused on how can John be the best version of himself. I think real estate is this way, but KW really accentuates it. Being in real estate is a wonderful way to learn about yourself and self-exploration and growth.
Yep.
And they're constantly pushing, how can I be a better person?
Right.
So being able to do that was huge. But they also have the systems and tools and the other business owners that will share with me on what they're doing so I can get where I want to go faster. Right. Yes, I could leave and start my own brokerage. Yes, I could go somewhere else. I would probably be the #1 agent in that office. But I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to grow. Right. So I can go to an event and sit down with a business owner who's doing 2,000 homes a year. And I guarantee their systems are dialed in a lot better than mine are, even though we have amazing systems right now. And that person's very open and sharing with me.
Right.
I can't get that anywhere else. Right. I mean, I could save some money on a split or a cap or whatever it might be, but if I can take my business from 136 to 184 to 250 to 400 homes in 4 years, why would I leave?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great sales companies out there. For me, and I think this is true about you for as long as I've known you, KW teaches you how to think. And it's been it's been fun to watch you, not only I think as a husband, as a dad, right, as a leader to your people, that maybe mindset has shifted because of the company that you're in and the things that you hear, beyond just the sales. Like you said, I think we're all here to have a successful business, but I find personally for me that I've become a better dad. I've become a better husband, right? I think differently, and if I get in a stressful situation, I kind of fall back on sometimes business training, right? That has taught me how to kind of navigate some of these problems.
Well, you said it earlier, just because you're a great salesperson doesn't mean you're going to be a great leader.
Right.
And KW also has leadership classes.
Right.
And how to be good and how to get people, guide them and motivate them. Actually, that's not true. You can't motivate anybody, but you can dial into their motivation to help them get where they want to go.
Right.
And learning to do that has been huge.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah, I can stay in sales and I can have my team where it is, but I can't grow it. I'm going to lose my people because they're going to go for somewhere else that has the opportunity they want.
Right.
So I have to be willing to make my world big enough to handle their world.
Are you good with failure?
I'm a lot better with it now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of failure is tied to ego. You don't want to look bad.
Yep.
So just being comfortable going fast, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Right.
It also helps to have people having your back in your team.
Right.
And they're like, John, it's okay.
Right.
Let's do this. Or someone who's pushing me because they want it faster than I'm willing to do it. And it's okay to do it that way.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm a lot better with failure. But it took 19 years to figure that out.
I just think a lot of people see a team that looks to be as well functioning as yours is, with the talent that's in your organization, and thinks this is an easy process. And I would say it's not.
No.
Right. A lot of failing.
It's easier.
A lot of failing forward. Right. But I think that pushes you to learn quicker. Right. On the decisions you have to make and the person that you need to become to be that person for everyone else in your world.
Yeah. It's not easy, but it is definitely easier.
Yeah.
But also you get those. Jessica was my 9th hire.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did the prior 8 not bring to the table that I should have been asking questions on?
Yep. Right.
And all those 8 failures or hires that didn't go well were my fault. I'm the one who brought them on.
Right.
I'm the one who may have trained them right or not wrong. And at the end of the day, I just had to learn to be better in what I do so that attracts more people to the team.
Right.
So yeah, it takes time. But yeah, failure is not a problem anymore.
What excites you about the next 5 years, 7 years in the pace of Richmond? Like, what do you sit at home and think about for the future, and what excites you?
Yeah, business opportunities.
Okay.
What are the opportunities we can bring people on who might have a skill set that we could utilize and create an opportunity for them as we grow?
Right.
The bigger picture is actually just more of what we already got.
Right.
I don't want to rewrite what we do. I like how we do it. I like the people we have. I want to find more people like that.
Yep.
And it's really fun when someone comes on board and we do vision boards every year and they write down what they want to do. And we circle back next year and they like, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that. I'll get those 2 this year, but I got these other 4. And that is amazing. That is so much fun to do.
Yep.
And also to have people come on board and say, John, you're not thinking big enough. You could be doing this, this, and this, and let's go build it out. And they're like, okay, that actually could be a lot of fun to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can actually see a vision of where your life could be in 5 years that, while different from today, it gives you hope as the market's always shifting.
Right.
Because real estate's always changing.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, it's going to be changing. So some days you're like, this is the best job in the world. Other days, this is the worst job in the world. And so you have a plan of income to make things work, whatever opportunities it is, and you have people doing it with you.
Yep.
Is my favorite thing to do.
Remember the first quantum leap I ever took with Gary Keller, he talked about, most people live their lives in 3 different categories, right? Learn, earn, play. Okay. And he said, I think the way to a great life is trying to figure out how to do all 3 of those things at the same time, right?
That's hard.
It's hard to do. And I think there are seasons in which that seems to be happening.
Correct.
But what I love about you is your willingness to learn, and like you want to continue to press the envelope, right? It's not just, I've got it, this is what I want to build out, and then I'm going to go hang out by myself and let my team run this thing. Like Correct. You are constantly trying to expand your brain a little bit, learn from other people, and so it's a trickle-down effect, right? So your world keeps getting bigger to where it needs to go, right?
It is, and I would say, I mentioned it earlier, like having people on the team that want to get you out of the way.
Yeah.
So being willing to step out and say, Jessica, Jess, whoever, you've earned their opportunity here. I'm going to let you earn this piece, and they get to roll into another opportunity, which is great. Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how else to elaborate on that piece.
You still ride your bike? Still do fun stuff?
I try to. Surfing is taking more of my time now, which is great.
That's cool.
Just bought another board 2 weeks ago. So that's fun.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm trying. One of the things I want to do is get more time to be able to go to Costa Rica and do trips like that now.
Nice.
So that's fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, riding bikes, not getting any younger, so trying to stay healthy and happy and do all that.
If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to connect with John Pace?
I mean, the best with me is call me or email me, but you can go to our socials as well, the Pace of Richmond.
Okay.
But my phone number's on my website. John at the Pace of Richmond's my email. Just connect with me that way. It's the best.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation today. Learned a little bit about John and his team down here in Richmond. Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks,
the time.
Kyle. Yeah, appreciate
and
you
if
as
you need a
always.
great contact in Richmond, reach out to John. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks.